Listen closely, because if a woman is ignoring you right now, there's a truth she never wants you to figure out, a truth that could flip the entire power dynamic in your favor in a single moment. And it starts with this. A woman almost never ignores a man she truly doesn't care about. She ignores the man she believes she can control. And the moment you stop responding the way she expects, everything inside her starts to shift. Most men panic when a woman pulls away. They overthink. They replay conversations. They wonder what they said wrong. They convince themselves that she's moving on, that she doesn't care, that they should fight harder to prove their worth. But the painful truth is this. A woman doesn't lose interest all at once. She loses respect first. And when she senses that you'll chase her no matter what, she knows she can treat you however she wants. That's when she starts ignoring you. Not because she's done with you, but because she assumes you won't be going anywhere. But here's the part she doesn't expect. The part that stops her cold. The part that makes her check her phone twice, 3 times, 4 times. When you finally act like the man who isn't afraid to lose her. The man who values his peace more than her attention. The man who doesn't crumble just because she went silent. When she realizes her absence doesn't break you, it unsettles something deep inside her. You see, ignoring isn't power. It's a test. It's a measurement. It's her way of asking, without asking, how badly do you need me? But the moment she sees that your happiness doesn't rely on her response, the moment she sees that your world keeps moving without her, the moment she realizes you're not sitting there waiting for her message, her attention, her validation, something inside her ego starts to crack. Women feel attraction, respect, and desire toward men who stand firm in themselves, men who don't beg for reassurance, men who understand that silence is not a command to chase, silence is a command to elevate. And this is where most men fail. They think ignoring back is the strategy. It's not. The strategy is living in such a way that she feels your absence, that she notices the shift, that she senses your energy isn't reaching out toward her anymore. When a woman ignores you, she expects your mind to crumble. She expects you to second-guess your message. She expects you to apologize for problems you didn't cause. She expects excuses, justifications, long paragraphs, over-explanations, anything that tells her she still has emotional access to you. But when you respond with stillness, calmness, and unbothered confidence, when you choose not to chase, she feels something she didn't plan for, uncertainty. And nothing grabs a woman's attention faster than a man she can't predict. Understand this. Women don't fall for the men who chase them. They fall for the men whose presence they can't replace. But presence isn't created by talking more, messaging more, or proving more. Presence is created by being a man who maintains his standards even when emotions are involved. A man whose self-worth doesn't collapse just because someone he likes is acting distant. It's in the moment you stop making her the center of your emotional world that she suddenly starts paying attention. Because deep down, every woman knows this. Once a man truly stops caring, he rarely returns. That's why your calmness scares her. That's why your silence disrupts her. That's why she suddenly starts wondering what you're thinking, who you're talking to, what changed inside you that she didn't authorize. She expects you to react. She doesn't expect you to evolve. So if she's ignoring you, don't move toward her. Don't explain yourself. Don't prove anything. Shift your focus back to your mission, your growth, your purpose. Because the moment you stop trying to win her back is the moment she realizes she might be losing you. Now let me reveal the part most men completely misunderstand. When a woman ignores you, it's not always about what she's feeling. It's about what she's testing. Women are instinctively scanning for strength, stability, and control. She's watching your reactions, your patterns, your emotional temperature. And the truth is, she doesn't even need words to communicate it. Her silence speaks louder than 1,000 texts ever could. Every time she pulls away, it's a question. Do you need me more than you need yourself? And the answer you give, without saying a single word, is what decides whether she respects you, fears losing you, or simply moves on. Most men respond incorrectly. They double text. They overanalyze. They try to decode every emoji, every delay, every subtle sign. And while they're doing that, she's watching them unravel like a thread pulled too tight. She's assessing whether your attention is contingent on her approval. And here's the brutal truth: attention given too easily loses value. A man who bends, chases, and explains himself becomes predictable. Predictable men are invisible. They don't trigger desire, they trigger indifference. But there's another side, a rare and potent response that flips the script entirely. When you act like her, silence doesn't break you, like your world doesn't pause for her. You create psychological friction. Friction makes people think. Friction makes them question. Friction makes them want. She starts noticing your absence in ways she didn't anticipate. She starts feeling that empty space you left, not out of punishment, but out of unapologetic self-respect. And that empty space, it's magnetic. The key is subtlety. You don't need to overcomplicate this. Don't post about her on social media. Don't engage in passive-aggressive messages. Don't act jealous or insecure. These are the traps that most men fall into. Instead, you focus on your life, your growth, your energy. You engage in your purpose so completely that your attention becomes scarce, because it should be. A man who values himself above the chase is the man a woman can't ignore for long. She will start feeling what you never forced: curiosity, admiration, desire. Here's what happens psychologically. When she realizes her attempt to control or test you has failed, her mind starts racing. She begins replaying moments she may have taken for granted. She questions her assumptions about your need for her approval. And if she's the type who respects strength and emotional intelligence, she starts noticing qualities she hadn't fully appreciated: your focus, your confidence, your unshakable calm. These are the traits that are irresistible because they signal a man who is abundant, not desperate. A man who attracts naturally without trying to manipulate. And understand this: it's not manipulation to withhold attention. It's not trickery to stop chasing. It's psychology. It's the natural law of human desire. People desire what they cannot fully control. She ignores you expecting submission, but when she encounters resistance, when she sees you operating on a higher emotional frequency, something powerful happens. She experiences tension she didn't anticipate. Tension that creates intrigue. Tension that can ignite attraction stronger than any words ever could. The subtle art of this approach lies in detachment, not absence. You're not punishing her. You're not playing games. You are elevating yourself. You are prioritizing your life. And as you do, she senses it on a deep, unconscious level. The woman who ignored you begins to feel the magnetic pull of a man who doesn't need to chase her. Because the truth is, she can't chase a man who is fully centered and emotionally self-sufficient. Attraction grows in the space of uncertainty, and respect blossoms in the soil of self-respect. So when she goes silent, don't panic. Don't overanalyze. Don't follow the crowd of men who think pleading will fix everything. Instead, act in a way that makes her realize she has lost something she cannot replace without ever telling her. Your quiet strength becomes louder than any text. Your calmness becomes louder than any argument. And your absence, wielded wisely, becomes the single most powerful tool she can't ignore. Here's the part most men will never understand. Women are not drawn to desperation. They are drawn to mastery. And mastery is the ability to navigate emotions, desire, and connection without being enslaved by them. When she ignores you, she is essentially handing you the ultimate test. Can you maintain your value when the world is whispering that you're less than? Most men fail this test without even realizing it. They mistake emotional reaction for love, attention for validation, and clinginess for significance. A woman's silence is not a reflection of your worth. It's a mirror of your response. How you act in these moments broadcasts to her more than any words ever could. Panic shows weakness. Over-explanation signals insecurity. Obsession broadcasts dependency. But calm, measured detachment communicates something far more profound. A man who commands his own life. A man who doesn't need approval. A man who cannot be shaken by silence. That is the language she understands at a deep, instinctive level. That is the language that triggers desire, not submission. Imagine this. She expects your energy to bend toward her absence. She expects you to text, call, or overanalyze. She expects a performance of longing. But when she sees you living fully, when she sees your time, focus, and energy are invested elsewhere, she experiences cognitive dissonance. Her mind, which assumed control, suddenly questions reality. Why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he chasing? Did I overstep? Did I miscalculate? That tension, uncomfortable, unexpected, unavoidable, is what draws her back. But here's a subtle secret most men miss. It's not enough to merely ignore her. Emotional detachment must be paired with action. You don't just wait, you elevate, you improve, you grow, you focus on friends, goals, hobbies, income, health, everything that signals abundance and independence. Because when you operate in scarcity, clinging, obsessing, pleading, she sees a man whose world revolves around her attention. When you operate in abundance, she sees a man whose life is rich, fulfilling, and magnetic. And that magnetic pull cannot be created by words, excuses, or manipulations. It is created by presence. Your presence fully realized. Every interaction she has with you now will be colored by this shift. If she reaches out, she will sense a change in energy, the calm, quiet confidence that was absent before. She will notice that your tone, your actions, and even your attention carry value because it is no longer guaranteed. And if she doesn't reach out immediately, the law of attraction still works quietly in the background. Absence, when paired with authentic abundance, ignites curiosity, desire, and often respect stronger than any direct confrontation could achieve. But here is a psychological nuance that elevates this strategy: timing. When you respond after a period of absence, never overcompensate. Your response should be measured, intentional, and neutral, not needy, not defensive, not overly enthusiastic. This subtle shift signals control, security, and emotional intelligence. It creates a powerful dynamic where she recognizes that your attention is valuable, not disposable. That is the essence of reverse psychology in human relationships. Not to manipulate, but to elevate yourself so naturally that her attraction grows organically. Finally, understand this. Attraction is not linear, and neither is respect. Her distance is not rejection, it's information. Her silence is not hostility, it's data. The man who thrives in these moments does not react emotionally. He observes, analyzes, and improves. He becomes more valuable not by chasing, but by embodying a life she can't help but notice, admire, and eventually desire. When you grasp this, you understand the paradox. Ignoring her is not about taking power away, it's about revealing your power, quietly, effectively, irresistibly. Now let's talk about what most men completely overlook: emotional subtlety. When a woman ignores you, she's not just testing your patience, she's testing your emotional framework. She's gauging whether you're reactive, whether your sense of self is dependent on her attention, whether your confidence is fragile or unshakable. And here's the kicker: she's also observing your behavior without consciously realizing it. Every small detail, how you speak, how you carry yourself, what you prioritize, is broadcasting a message far louder than any text ever could. Most men make a critical mistake here. They assume they have to fill the silence. They believe that every pause must be answered, every distance must be closed. This is the exact opposite of the psychology she's responding to. The truth is, the man who thrives when ignored is the one who amplifies his life in her absence. He doesn't wait, he doesn't beg, he doesn't justify, he evolves, and evolution is irresistible. When you shift your energy away from her and back toward yourself, something profound happens psychologically. She begins to feel the subtle tension of uncertainty. Her mind, which assumed control, starts questioning. Why isn't he reacting? Where is his energy going? Why am I not the center of his world? That tension, that gap, is where desire grows. Desire does not flourish in certainty. It thrives in curiosity. It thrives when she senses a life moving forward that doesn't depend on her, that doesn't orbit her attention. But here's the nuance that makes the difference between men who fail and men who succeed. It's not cold indifference, it's controlled awareness. You don't act aloof out of spite or insecurity. You act aloof because you understand the natural laws of attraction. You act confident because you know your value. You act intentional because you are a man who does not give away his energy freely to anyone who hasn't earned it. This is a subtle form of reverse psychology, an invisible shift in dynamics that makes her attention feel earned rather than expected. And she notices. Women are hardwired to recognize patterns. She notices when your behavior changes, when your calmness increases, when your focus turns elsewhere. These shifts are signals. They communicate that your attention is finite, that your energy is precious, that your presence is earned. And when she senses that she has lost her automatic influence over you, her mind unconsciously starts creating scenarios where she might re-engage. She begins to wonder if she misjudged you, if she underestimated your independence, if she's accidentally losing a man who doesn't chase. It's important to remember this is not about manipulation. It's about natural consequences. When a woman ignores you, the natural consequence of your calm, centered response is intrigue. The natural consequence of your emotional mastery is attraction. The natural consequence of your focus on self-improvement is respect. These are not tricks. These are the invisible dynamics of human desire. They are truths she cannot articulate, but she feels them deeply. Here's the subtle mastery. You do not act out of fear of losing her. You act out of commitment to yourself. You do not respond to her silence with desperation. You respond with presence, purpose, and control. You elevate your life so that your absence is not empty. It is powerful. Your calmness is not passive. It is magnetic. And your consistency, even in the face of being ignored, becomes a silent declaration of strength she cannot ignore. By embodying these principles, you transform the situation entirely. You move from reacting to observing, from chasing to elevating, from being at her mercy to being in command of your own emotional reality. And in that shift, she begins to see a man she cannot predict, a man whose energy she cannot control, a man whose value is undeniable. Now, this is where most men fail to grasp the final truth. Silence, patience, and self-mastery are more powerful than any words, gifts, or gestures you could offer. When a woman ignores you, the instinct for many men is to fill the void, to text, to call, to explain, to chase. But here's the truth she won't tell you. Your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. And the way you handle that absence defines the entire dynamic between you. Think about it this way. Every man she interacts with is trying to earn attention, to prove worth, to secure validation. That's predictable. That's ordinary. That's invisible. But you break the pattern. You don't chase. You don't panic. You don't sacrifice your peace for temporary approval. Your calmness, your focus on your own life, your unwavering standards, these become impossible for her to ignore. They create a tension, a pull, a curiosity that grows stronger with each passing day. Here's the psychological nuance most men never consider. When a woman ignores you, she is unconsciously assessing your emotional independence. She is asking, without words, can he thrive without me? Can he maintain his dignity without my attention? Does his value fluctuate with my presence? And every action you take in response either confirms her assumptions or challenges them. Most men confirm, they chase, they over-explain, they panic. Few men challenge, few men remain steady, few men demonstrate that their value is intrinsic, not contingent on approval. Your response is a reflection of your internal state. If you panic, she sees weakness. If you cling, she feels control. If you stay composed, she experiences intrigue, admiration, and even desire. And here's the most important part. Intrigue is far more seductive than attention ever could be, because intrigue keeps her guessing. Intrigue makes her wonder what you're doing, who you're talking to, why you're unaffected. And when a woman begins to wonder, her thoughts inevitably turn toward you more often than they did when she had your constant attention. The art of reverse female psychology is not about manipulation. It's about elevation. It's about creating a dynamic where your life is full, your energy is abundant, and your value is undeniable, regardless of her engagement. It's about being so complete in yourself that her absence does not diminish you, and yet it creates a magnetic pull because she subconsciously recognizes a man who cannot be controlled, a man who cannot be predicted, a man whose presence carries weight. That pull is irresistible. Now let's talk strategy. Maintain your boundaries, focus on self-improvement, and preserve your emotional independence. Show interest only when it feels aligned with your life, never as a reaction to her silence. Be consistent but not predictable. Be present but not available. And remember, your calmness is your most powerful tool. The less she can provoke you, the more she respects and desires you. Here's the final truth, the one they never tell men. The moment you stop needing her validation, the moment you stop reacting to her absence, the moment you operate on your own terms, that is the moment she starts noticing you in a completely new way. That is the moment her mind begins to chase what her ego thought she could control. That is the moment her respect deepens, her attraction rises, and her desire awakens. Not because you acted clever, but because you acted like a man who cannot be shaken. So here's my question for you, and I want you to answer in the comments. If her silence tests your patience and your calmness tests her curiosity, what is the outcome when both forces meet? Think about it, reflect, and share your answer below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this truth. The men who understand this dynamic don't chase. They evolve, they elevate, and they command attention without ever begging for it. This is the equation of attraction few men will ever master, but the ones who do, they never go unnoticed.